Hi, and welcome to this edition. Now I'm showing a new feature where we're able to test SAP CPI with mock data. So why do we want to make testing with mock data? And you probably know that we already can test SAP CPI, iflows, where we would take out an iflow, create test case, and then run this and do verification of it. But sometimes it is difficult to actually make this. And it could be in the case where you have a customer creation, an employee creation that has a lot of consequences and is difficult to actually replicate multiple times. And in this case, it may make sense that you can actually reprocess later. And the other thing we have on it is that if you have tests that involves partner systems or where there's a significant cost for each time you're doing a request, then you may not want to test with those systems, but you want to be able to test all your scripts and obviously be able to develop changing the scripts and validate and see how it works. You have the places where you have an adapter, or the adapter is not important. And then you want to test your system after it has been upgraded. So every time you see that there's a version change, you can run this. And if there's any changes, you would obviously be able to open OSSs on it. I also hope that it will be possible to test this with the next release of SAP CPI. If that's something, then let us know. And obviously involving some SAP information. So the architecture we have is much the same. So normally when we're testing, we would just test with your normal iflow. In this process, we would start the process, and this will then create a mock, completely new iflow, where we have just replaced all the communication channels in your iflow with calls that calls our mock API service. And every time it calls, it will get data here, and then at some point it will just go and get validations on it. What does this mock endpoint then look like? So in every step we will just add this information here. We can use the cloud connector as seen in this example, or you can use the Figaf IRT cloud. Depending on your installation, there's different ways you can handle these things. And it will then say this is the original message flow number 8. It's the camel split index. We need that if there's looping involved in it. And we need the correlation ID for these requests. And based on this, the service would actually be able to show you what were the changed headers. And these are the ones that actually being sent. It will also show you give you the body from the next step, because that's how the data is saved in the trace log. So the normal way, as we have created test cases on, is, and this is all the IRT application that will do this, it will switch your iflow into trace mode, and then you as a user would send data into it as you normally would. Then the IRT application would then be able to download all trace data and create a test data on it. A test case. I'll show you just in a minute how that works. Next up is we want to run our current configuration, and what it will do, it will take the iflow that you have created, it will replace our channels as we have seen before, it will deploy it, and then it will wait until this iflow has been deployed. Once it's been deployed and started, it will then send a test message. It will serve all these API endpoints that whenever they're called, it will validate that it looks the same. It will then download trace messages from all steps, and it will then compare results. So let me show you that this works, or how this works. So here we have our API, or our system. So I just want to make a small change here, so we'll just call this new header 2. And it's not anything that we're loading, so we'll create it as a new version, number 12, and we will deploy this. And then from the IRT application, we can go in here, and we have a change tracking tool that will actually synchronize all the data that you have in your CPI system, and with that be able to create tickets and monitor all the changes that are happening into your system. And for this perspective, it's not that important. It's just as a way of handling all the data that you have in the system. So now we can see it has been finished, and what we can see is we have our customer OData that's been created here. We can go in and see what was actually changed in it. But for this, we just want to create a new test case for it. And we can just see in this way, it's easiest to look up. We can go in here, we can create record messages. We just want one message, and we will add it to one that's called this one. And our name is this video demo, just as we know we have created it. So what we'll do now is we will start this recording. This will flip the iflow into trace mode, and then I will just need to send this message in. And this is an OData request, and as you can see here, we are sending some request data here using OData version 4. You can probably see this here in the general section, OData v4. There's looping and iteration on it, and now it has been processed. So what I'll do is I'll just go here, I will pull these messages, and with this it will download all the trace data that we have from our CPI system. So if we go to our CPI system and look at our logs, we can see that this iflow has been run in trace mode, and we have all of these different steps in here. Yeah, this obviously takes a little while because there's a lot of messages involved in it. So now it's completed. We can then create a test case on this. So we'll create a test case. This is just customer regression test case. Yes, okay. So now we have two test cases. We have one here that's called video demo. That's the one we just created. And we have made a new flag here that is, say, run with mock data for OData. And we can then run this one, and we can select which system it should run on, but now it's just on our CPI system. And what we can then see is, if we go here, this is the mock service that we have created. So hopefully this one will then be updated with this new information that we got. So in here now, set headers, we can then see it's being called headers number 2, and we can see our connections have then been updated to all of these different things. So it's just replaced everything. Here we're using internal process call and stuff like that. So we'll see our last result. We will pull our results, and this will go in, download the test data that has run. It's the same processing we have for these. And yeah, so no matter which of the ways you are doing it, it will always show the same data. And we can then view our results once it's done. Let's see, view our results. We can see it's compared and everything looks okay. Here's something that has not been downloaded yet, so now we can see it's compared. If we go to the other one here, maybe this one is, so here we can see there was a difference here. And if we view the difference, we can see what are the payloads here, and there's no here, and we can see that there was original a value that was called new header, and in the test it's called new header 2. So we can actually see that there was a difference here. And we then have an option just to say, hey, this is okay, this is the new one you want to use for this this case. So with this, we have been able to run a test really fast. And if we just go back and look at the processing time of these things, the original one took 13 seconds, the second one took 2 or 7 seconds, depending on which one it is. So the processing time is easier because we don't need to do real OData calls and call some external service that may be a little slow. So that was what I wanted to show you in this demo. And obviously we do have some limitations on this, that we're currently only working with request reply, and we haven't tested binary data. So both if you have some streaming data in your headers and place them there, it will obviously cause some problems because we cannot fetch them with the trace data, and also potentially if there's binary data in the payload, that could also cause some problems. So if you want to try it out, there's some free trials. You can try it out. There's figaf.com/IRT. Or if you want to try our cloud version, then it's figaf.com/IRT cloud. I hope you find this useful and will give us a like and give us some comments about how you can actually, or how we can actually improve this, make it even better and get you to use it. So thanks for watching.